You're listening to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, created to help you succeed in your educational journey. Learn more at baremetalcyber.com, where additional prepcasts, books, and training materials await. Let's get started. The Certified Cloud Security Professional is a credential created to bring structure to one of the fastest changing areas in technology. Cloud platforms grow more capable every year, but they also introduce unique risks that do not always map neatly to traditional security models. This certification provides a disciplined way to study, organize, and demonstrate mastery of those risks and their solutions. It is not just a test of memory, it is a signal that the holder can design, operate, and govern secure cloud environments in practice. When we explore this credential together, think of it as both a roadmap and a compass. The roadmap shows the topics and domains to learn, while the compass gives direction on how to apply them thoughtfully in real organizations. With this foundation, learners can see how their experience connects to a broader professional standard. The CCSP is described as an advanced credential because it emphasizes synthesis of knowledge. Rather than focusing on individual technologies in isolation, it brings architecture, governance, and operations into one framework. Cloud security is not simply about firewalls or encryption. It is about knowing when and how to combine these tools into sustainable, enforceable designs. An advanced certification asks the professional to reason across trade-offs. For instance, centralizing key management can create efficiency but also a single point of failure. Operating securely in multi-cloud settings requires balancing the strengths of each provider against consistent oversight. To succeed, a CCSP candidate must already have a foundation in security principles and then be able to extend them into cloud-specific contexts where scale, automation, and elasticity change the way risks manifest. The sponsoring body behind the CCSP is the International Information Systems Security Certification Consortium, more commonly known as ISC². This nonprofit organization is recognized globally for its role in setting standards for the cybersecurity profession. Beyond creating exams, ISC² establishes a code of ethics that certified members must follow. This code emphasizes protecting society, the common good, and the infrastructure on which people depend. It reminds practitioners that their duty extends beyond technical controls to the trust that users place in digital systems. When you pursue the CCSP, you are not only aligning with technical expectations but also committing to ethical obligations that frame your work as a public trust. For many candidates, this ethical dimension reinforces why the credential matters in a world where security decisions affect millions of people. The candidate profile for the CCSP assumes prior experience, both in general security and in cloud environments. Unlike entry-level certifications that introduce basic concepts, this exam expects you to recognize the language of cryptography, networking, identity management, and risk assessment. On top of that, it assumes you have encountered cloud deployments firsthand, whether in design, migration, or daily operations. This experience does not have to come from leading a massive enterprise project. It can stem from managing services, supporting audits, or configuring cloud controls in smaller settings. The important point is that you can connect classroom concepts to lived practice. This combination of security foundation and cloud familiarity ensures the exam can test not only what you know, but also how well you can apply it under realistic conditions. The CCSP exam is structured around 6 domains that serve as knowledge areas. Each domain represents a major dimension of cloud security: architectural concepts, governance and risk, cloud platform security, application security, operations, and legal or compliance issues. Together they form the blueprint of the exam. Think of these domains as the chapters of a textbook. No single domain tells the full story, but in sequence they cover the life cycle from high-level design decisions down to day-to-day operational safeguards. Understanding the domains also helps learners organize their study. When faced with a new service or scenario, you can ask yourself which domain it belongs to. Reinforcing your ability to classify problems and solutions systematically Rather than reacting ad hoc, the relationship between the CCSP and other certifications is important, especially the Certified Information Systems Security Professional, or CISSP. Many professionals already hold the CISSP as a general benchmark of cybersecurity competence. The CCSP builds on this foundation, zooming in on the unique characteristics of cloud. If CISSP is like a wide-angle lens covering the full field of security, CCSP is the telephoto lens that focuses tightly on one of the most critical areas today. For some, the CCSP is a companion credential to signal specialization. For others, it is a next step that deepens their professional profile. The overlap in sponsoring body also means both credentials share an ethical commitment and similar expectations for continuing education. From the perspective of employers, the CCSP signals value in cloud-first organizations. Companies migrating workloads to public or hybrid cloud infrastructures need professionals who can anticipate risks while enabling agility. Holding this credential demonstrates that you can speak the language of both engineers and auditors, bridging gaps that often frustrate projects. For example, an employer might need assurance that a cloud deployment meets compliance requirements for data residency, while at the same time ensuring developers can scale applications quickly. The CCSP professional is positioned to address both concerns, guiding decisions that satisfy regulators without blocking innovation. This ability to harmonize speed and safety makes the certification attractive to leaders trying to balance growth with accountability. The exam itself is delivered as computer-based testing at authorized centers. This format ensures consistency across candidates while maintaining secure handling of test materials. You will sit at a workstation, navigating through multiple-choice questions that assess both recall and reasoning. The digital format also allows features such as flagging questions to revisit and tracking progress through the sections. For many, this environment is less intimidating than traditional paper tests since the interface mirrors common computer experiences. However, it also requires stamina, as you may face hours of focused attention without the informal pauses common in classroom settings. Understanding the delivery method helps you prepare mentally, not just academically. Registration and scheduling for the exam flow through the testing provider's online portal. This system allows candidates to create an account, select an exam date, and choose a nearby testing center. The scheduling flexibility reflects the global demand for the certification, with centers operating in many countries. It also underscores the importance of planning. Popular dates and times can fill quickly, so early registration reduces stress. By walking through the registration interface ahead of time, candidates can familiarize themselves with the steps and avoid surprises on test day. This administrative detail might seem minor compared to studying, but it often makes the difference between a calm arrival and a rushed, anxious experience. Before the exam can begin, candidates must provide identification and agree to the testing terms. Typically, this involves presenting government-issued identification, verifying your name matches the registration record, and storing personal belongings securely. You will also be asked to confirm the candidate agreement, which outlines rules such as no unauthorized materials, no sharing of test content, and compliance with proctor instructions. These procedures protect the fairness of the exam, ensuring that every candidate competes under the same conditions. While the formality might feel strict, it mirrors the seriousness of the credential itself. Just as cloud security requires discipline, the exam process requires adherence to rules that maintain trust in the results. Earning the CCSP is not the end of the journey, but the start of an ongoing cycle. To maintain the certification, professionals must earn continuing professional education credits each year, demonstrating that they remain current as technologies and risks evolve. Along with these credits, an annual maintenance fee supports the administration of the program. This recertification model ensures that the credential does not become stale. In the cloud, where services and threats shift rapidly, yesterday's knowledge may be insufficient tomorrow. By committing to continuing education, CCSP holders affirm that they remain active learners, not resting on a single achievement. This ongoing engagement benefits both the individual and the organizations that depend on their expertise. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. When considering the 6 domains of the CCSP, it helps to think about them not as abstract test categories, but as slices of everyday cloud security work. Each domain corresponds to tasks that must be performed in a living system: designing controls, managing data, supporting developers, handling incidents, and ensuring compliance. Mapping domains to workflows turns the blueprint into something tangible. For example, when you review a cloud migration project, you might touch on architectural principles from one domain, risk assessments from another, and operational monitoring from yet another. This cross-reference makes the domains easier to retain and apply because they no longer exist as isolated silos. Instead, they become perspectives through which you can analyze any given cloud situation, like using multiple lenses to sharpen the clarity of a single picture. One of the reasons the CCSP has become widely respected is its alignment with external frameworks, like those from the National Institute of Standards and Technology, often abbreviated as NIST, and the International Organization for Standardization, or ISO. These bodies publish reference models, guidelines, and control catalogs that set benchmarks for what good looks like in security and risk management. When you study for the CCSP, you will see echoes of NIST guidance on cloud risk or ISO standards for information security management. The point is not memorization but recognition. Organizations frequently adopt these frameworks, so a certified professional should be able to navigate them and connect exam concepts to real-world audits, assessments, and design patterns. This alignment enhances credibility, since it situates the credential within a globally recognized body of best practice. A recurring principle throughout the CCSP is the shared responsibility model. This model explains how security tasks are divided between the cloud provider and the customer. At its heart, it says that while providers secure the underlying infrastructure, customers remain responsible for their own data, applications, and access controls. Imagine renting an apartment. The landlord ensures the building has working locks and electricity, but you still must secure your own belongings and decide who holds a key. In the cloud, this model prevents assumptions that the provider handles everything. Instead, it clarifies boundaries so organizations know where they must act. On the exam and in practice, recognizing these boundaries helps professionals design security programs that cover gaps, assign ownership, and avoid costly misunderstandings about who should be doing what. As you explore the domains, you will notice cross-cutting themes that appear again and again. Identity management, for instance, runs through every aspect of cloud security. Whether designing architectures, enforcing policies, or operating services, ensuring the right people have the right access is fundamental. Logging and monitoring also surface in multiple contexts, reminding us that visibility is essential for both prevention and response. Encryption, too, is a theme woven throughout, sometimes applied to data at rest, sometimes to traffic in transit, and sometimes to the way keys are managed and rotated. These recurring elements are like the repeating motifs in a piece of music. Each domain may emphasize them differently, but together they build a coherent, recognizable melody that guides both study and practice. The conclusion of this orientation is that the CCSP provides more than an exam blueprint. It establishes a practice-oriented view of cloud security that is both broad and deep. By covering architecture, governance, operations, and compliance in a unified framework, it mirrors the realities professionals face in organizations where cloud has become the default environment. The credential signals that its holder is not only technically capable, but also able to reason across disciplines, connect frameworks to workflows, and sustain their knowledge through ongoing education. For learners, preparing for the CCSP is less about ticking boxes and more about internalizing a way of thinking that can be applied to evolving challenges. For organizations, it is a way of recognizing individuals who can translate complexity into clarity and make secure cloud adoption both possible and sustainable. Thanks for tuning in to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, your trusted source for cybersecurity news and insights. Remember to subscribe at baremetalcyber.com so you never miss an update. And visit cyberauthor.me for best-selling cybersecurity books that equip you with expert knowledge. Until next time, stay secure and stay vigilant.